Microsoft is adding AI-driven facial recognition to OneDrive. It's creepy, super creepy. So they're now going to scan all your pictures and everything and use AI to determine who all they are inside OneDrive. Creepy, super creepy. That's not the news story, though. Because Microsoft, on any day that ends in Y, is adding AI functionality into another piece of software that they have. That's just what they do now. The news item here is that there is a setting inside of the new Microsoft OneDrive that they're rolling out to kind of beta participants right now that allows you to turn off the AI facial recognition feature. Well, that's great. Hallelujah. Microsoft allows you to turn off stupid AI features. Great. However, they quote, this is very real. I'm just going to read it directly from the screenshot. Quote, "You can only turn off this setting 3 times a year." End quote. Excuse me? Baking powder? I can only turn off the setting 3 times per year? That is ridiculous and asinine. Now, Microsoft has a bad habit, a very bad habit of ignoring your user settings. I mean, how many times has we heard people complain about settings inside Windows and various Microsoft products just being reset, just randomly? Oh, a new software update comes through, all the settings are reset. You turned off things, they're back on now. That happens all the time with Microsoft stuff. With this particular piece of software, with OneDrive, you can only disable those settings thrice yearly. So what happens if Microsoft resets your settings for a 4th time? Well, you just have to wait it out for the year until you can turn it off again, because you can only turn it off 3 times in a year. What in the heck of tarnations is going on here? Now there may be like a valid engineering, logistical, practical reason why they're only allowing people to turn it off 3 times a year. Because the reality is, all of these AI systems take a tremendous amount of computer resources on the server side, a tremendous amount. And realistically, Microsoft and all the other AI companies, they're not turning a profit on these AI features. They're losing money on them. So they need to find a way to limit the number of times that a person runs the back-end AI-driven analysis that are of their photos, right? Because you upload your pictures to OneDrive. OneDrive uploads those into their servers, Azure Cloud, whatever, the Microsoft Redmond servers, and then it runs the AI facial recognition on them, which is going to take a huge amount of computational resources on their big server farms there in Redmond. They need to limit the number of times those can run. And so in theory, someone could, if they didn't limit this, could turn it off, turn it back on, turn it off, turn it back on, turn it off, turn it back on, and it's effectively do a sort of AI distributed denial of service attack on the Redmond campus if enough people are turning it on and off all the time. I mean, you could bring their GPU AI clusters to its knees. So, okay, so I kind of get that. But from an end user usability standpoint, this is just asinine. You can only turn off an invasive, privacy-invading setting 3 times a year from a company who routinely just resets your settings more than 3 times a year? That's crazy. And they're adding this new functionality, this new AI functionality to everything that they have, right? We know that they've added AI to Notepad.exe, the world's most simple text editor, now is an AI-driven, tied to your Microsoft account piece of software. Paint, Microsoft Paint, now has AI. Excel has AI. Word has AI. The start menu has AI. GitHub, the source control has AI. It's all got AI now. It's all AI driven going forward with Windows and all the Microsoft stuff. absolutely asinine that this is the direction that they're going. And when they start moving down the path of limiting how often you can disable the functionality, and you can't even disable the functionality across the product line, just here and there, you can disable little tiny bits. That starts to make me a little bit nervous. That makes me increasingly nervous. This is just 10 different kinds of stupid. So much of your data that is currently stored on your local computer because of these AI features is being moved up to Microsoft's servers. In fact, Microsoft is showing you their cards and making it very clear to you that they're trying to make it so you don't have local storage anymore, right? Oh, we're going to do the AI functionality for Notepad and Paint and Word and Excel and everything else in the cloud, in their cloudin' up at Microsoft's HQ. And they're doing more of this stuff with OneDrive as well. They just announced that Microsoft Word going forward will default to saving in the Microsoft OneDrive cloud servers instead of on your local computers. They're trying to get you away from the idea that you own and control your own data, your Word files, your pictures, your text files, your everything owned by Microsoft, sitting on Microsoft servers, using AI to scrape, analyze, and do whatever they want with whatever you create because you're giving it over to them freely. A similarly related story happened yesterday where a developer was suspended from GitHub. And I think this is a good cautionary tale. A developer was suspended for GitHub after this developer made an inappropriate pull request to the Linux kernel GitHub repository. I'm going to show it to you right now so you can see exactly what it is. This person named VM Funk, also known as Celeste. I don't know if it's a guy or a girl. I have no idea. You never can tell. Hello, GitHub. Why did my account get suspended? I have been using GitHub for years and have never done anything that goes against the terms of service on this platform. A lot of very sensitive repositories are on my account, and there is no way I can even log in to back them up. And the one of the offending, at least, pull requests that this person submitted was, quote, puppy girl looking for a Dom girlfriend doesn't seem included in the kernel. And then it goes on to saying that looking for a Dom girlfriend that boots into cuddles and all sorts of things. Some of them were just it was clearly meant as a joke, right? Some sort of a jokey pull request to the Linux kernel repository. But because of that, this person got their GitHub account essentially suspended. Now, it's since been reinstated because a whole bunch of people were up in arms about it. But this is a good cautionary tale, and I want to point out a few quick things. The first is that the pull request in question was inappropriate and did violate the terms of service of GitHub. If you look through the terms of service of GitHub, this person created a spam joking pull request, was not part of the project, was you looking to use up someone else's resources, and some of the words within it were inappropriate. So it was in violation of the terms of service of GitHub. However, that said, a full account suspension, which this person received, at least temporarily, was a massive overreaction on the part of GitHub, considering how many people post similarly stupid, inappropriate things to the platform GitHub every single day. Case in point, employees of Canonical, members of GNOME and Debian, not too long ago, just a few months ago, went on essentially a rampage, vandalizing wiki pages across GitHub accounts, filling them with swear words, F-bombs, calling people Nazis, all sorts of stuff. And GitHub did not suspend or punish them in any way, shape, or form. Did those people violate the terms of service of GitHub? Absolutely. Were their violations more egregious than this what's this person's name? This VM Funk person. Yeah, absolutely. Those violations were far more egregious, and GitHub did absolutely nothing there. Also, and I think this is an important thing to note about this particular thing, and then I'm going to get to the point of me bringing this up. While this was done on the Linux kernel GitHub repository, GitHub is not actually where work really occurs on the Linux kernel. What happens on GitHub is almost completely ignored by Linux kernel developers. It's just sort of a mirror. It's sort of a Git mirror to the actual Git repository where the Linux kernel work is going on. So this really didn't disrupt anyone in particular. In fact, there's a ton of joking, ridiculous, similar pull requests all across the Linux kernel GitHub. It's kind of chaos, right? But this really, really underscores the danger in hosting critical data on a single corporate platform. You can lose access to that data in the blink of an eye for almost any number of reasons, right? So this person made a joke in violation of terms of service, yes, but a joke pull request to GitHub. And because of that, they lost access to all of the GitHub repositories that this person had been working on for years. No ability to back it up, right? So GitHub did restore it, but they didn't have to. And at least for a period of time, this person had no access to it. This can happen to any of our data. Anything that's stored in OneDrive, any of the data that gets uploaded without you even really thinking about it because you typed something into Notepad.exe. Yes, if you type something into Notepad.exe, it's on Microsoft servers now because it's all AI driven and it's all up on the remote servers. This is a problem. You don't necessarily get access to those servers. Microsoft could shut down those servers tomorrow. Microsoft could block your access to them because they don't like your politics. Microsoft could say that you're in violation of their terms of service without you even knowing why, or even really being able to appeal it. This is a serious, serious problem. And the further down this road of all of this data being hosted on the servers, particularly on the servers of a single corporate entity, or the any entity, and a nonprofit organization would be a problem as well. The more concerning it is. I also want to make mention that this isn't a Microsoft specific problem. Like with the GitHub banning issue, other source code hosting platforms like GitHub alternatives, a lot of them use Git on the back end, are not any more dependable when it comes to this sort of thing. In fact, many of the GitHub alternatives that are out there, and we've done stories on this in the past, are run by political activists who actively ban users for simple political disagreements and give absolutely no avenue for recourse to get access back to those repositories. So it's not like GitHub is the lone bad guy here. In fact, if you're hosting your source code repository in a corporate or a nonprofit Git hosting server system out there, good odds you could have your stuff yanked away from you at any given point in time. And that is deeply, deeply concerning. I mean, all of the news coming out over the last few days and weeks and months and years really points to, oh my heavens, I want to be able to self-host everything so people can't take things away from me. But that, of course, is more difficult. But it's worth bearing all of this in mind, I think, as we look at things like you can only turn off this setting 3 times a year. Thank you to the Lunduke Journal subscribers for making it possible to do the work that I do. Go to lunduke.com and click on all the amazing linkages. You love linkages so much. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, nerds and nerdettes, across the intertubes, I do declare end broadcast.